Hello, and thank you for joining us on the first edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, Borno governor meets with President Buhari over escalation in Boko Haram attacks, wants more troops deployed to the states, outrage over FBI's listing of 78 Nigerians for fraud, as Saudi Arabia releases names of 23 Nigerians to face death penalty over drug-related offenses. And later on the show, Manchester United, Arsenal suffer defeats in English Premier League outings. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Gani Kairi Balogun, and Mayor Akipelu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin today's show on a celebratory note. It was a double swap for Journalist Hangout at the 2019 CMC African Awards here in Lagos on Sunday, while Journalist Hangout won the most interactive, educative, and informative program of the year. Our own Babajide Kolade Otitoju carted home the most outstanding journalist of the year. Let's hear some of the moments with you.
I have to say what I've been saying about this gentleman in his absence. Anybody who thought all this man knows is politics must go and rethink it. There's no subject on earth that this man is not so advanced about. Yes. When you talk football, this man is there. You talk security, is there. Man, I respect you. May God please put your hands together for me. I have said this everywhere, and everybody says yes. Congratulations. Let me say this. I didn't even know about it. It was my friend, Mani Onomon, that said to me, BC, have you seen a program on TVC called Journalist Hangout? I said, no. Once I watched it, I became glued, and I became addicted to it. I can tell you what they do every day, word for word. In fact, because I'm also still producing, at 5 o'clock they wake me up. At 5 in the evening, they are there. At 11, but the one who will go fight me this 11 o'clock on Monday, no trial. Because that's BOS time. But you can't believe it, I still watch. These guys have done so well. This man here, when they were talking about was it the soldier that killed policemen? The man said, yes, we have blamed police for doing bad things, and they're still doing bad things, but for this one, it is soldier we must blame. Not be so? And even when they call the program, you know, Nigerians, once you're doing a good job, they just take it in. I have said this in your absence, I will continue to say it. Because the man keeps reinventing himself. I mean, you're talking politics now. When we talked about football, AFCON, when Madagascar shocked us, the man said, I lie you. He took us back in time, almost 30 years. As they say, Madagascar did something to us. With facts and figures, this man. May God bless you. I'm really proud of you. Proud in extended, I'm proud. Award of Excellence. Mr. Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Some call it Otitoluju, but I know it's Otitoju. Group Controller, Current and Public Affairs, TVC. By the way, TVC has also blossomed in leaps and bounds. In Sokoto Airport, anywhere you go to, it is TVC they're watching. Wow. Honestly, these guys, they are the tenets of broadcasting, objective criticism. Wow. Well done. Now, the award goes to him for being the most outstanding media personality of the year 2019. Yes, sir. Listen. They never finish. Grammar never finish here. For your remarkable contributions to nation building. As tried. When I say one, tried, tested, and trusted media guru. This one is an award very well deserved. And to be honest with you, it's another great thing for the media That's my own confraternity.
By God's grace, the group program has grown in leaps and bounds. Nigerians want a situation in which you can tell them this is the party that will win an election in a state, and they want to see it happen. By the grace of God, 2019 election, we had governorship elections in 29 states. And now your Zubaku, the anchor of the program, said, Babajide, people want you to predict who will win. I said, I predict. We are talking about 29 states. I will get some wrong. He said, just do it. And we began predicting. Every day on the program, we'll do like 5 states. And to the glory of God. To the glory of God, because it's not my work. It's God's doing. All the 29 predictions that I made, not one didn't come to pass.
Hands together.
People have now seen our program as the program to watch. They know we will tell you the truth. I promise you, I will not change. I promise you that Journalists Hangout will continue to represent what it is in our country. We will continue to speak the truth to power, no matter whose horse is God. That is what Nigerians want to see. If we don't tell our leaders the truth, they will not rule us in the right way.
Veteran broadcast journalist BC Olatilo. That's the first person that spoke on that tape before our own Biki or Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Bayo, let me start from you.
Let me say that let me say big congratulations to TVC and Babajide. Winning awards have become the norm in this station, and some of us who are part of the program, we are proud that we are part of that program. There's no doubt that Journalists Hangout have really made its name. When you meet people and they express joy and happiness in getting to meet you just because we appear on Journalists Hangout, you know that we are doing something very, very good here.
GKB.
Well, I wish more of the same in years to come. But the reward for hard work is more work. And we know that we are just starting. Because ultimately, the goal of Journalists Hangout is to be the program that everybody in government will turn to test the pulse of the populace. And when that happens, then we know we have truly arrived. Congratulations to TVC, congratulations to Journalists Hangout, congratulations to Baba Funare.
Jide, it's so gratifying that even outside the shores of Nigeria,
Yes,
London, Dubai, America, Dallas, Minnesota, Chicago.
We have people dedicated to
everybody, the likes of Shonada, everybody. We have people that they watch in spite of the time difference.
Yeah.
They still watch Journalists Hangout. My friend,
it's on YouTube, so it makes it easy.
every other day still find time to watch Journalists Hangout.
early last week, we checked YouTube views for Journalists Hangout. And for the month of August, it was already 101,000 YouTube views. There's no program in Nigeria, in today's Nigeria, that can have such numbers. 101,000 YouTube views, and we are still in the month of August. So who knows at what point we'll close the month of August. Well, I'm grateful to God because many didn't give us a chance. They thought this program would be just one of those programs. They thought it would fail. But thanks to creativity, our commitment to speak the truth at all times, Nigerians have seen us as the program of choice, the program that they want to watch. When you go to big events and you see big people walk up to you and say, you are the reason I don't sleep early. The former governor of Lagos State once walked up to me at an event where we had so many big journalists, and he said, you are the reason I don't sleep too early. My wife will fight you.
I'm sure you would have been mocked if you had followed me to the Nigerian Bar Association conference today. Everybody.
And it's like that. Even they always say the soldiers that you demoralize soldiers and all that. They say soldiers don't like me. I went to the Ministry of Defense. At every point, I was taking pictures with soldiers. So everyone wants the truth. whether it is palatable or not, an overwhelming majority of our people want the truth. And as long as we continue to dish out the truth, I'm sure that people will continue to enjoy it. I'm grateful that a journalist that I admired even as a kid,
BC Olatilo.
BC Olatilo walked up on stage the moment he had that.
Spoke glowingly about
And he was talking about me, and I'm like, it looked unbelievable that I could share the same stage with him and that he could say such kind words. But we thank God and we promise Nigerians that this is just the beginning.
And congratulations to our backroom staff, the producers, the directors, Tony, Olamide, and people that are always there every time. Also, some of our regular guests moved onto pastures, new pastures. Ismail Omekpidon was named the Chief Press Secretary to Osun State Governor, while another guest on the show, Boyega Akoshile, is now working with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State in the same capacity, that's Chief Press Secretary. We also say congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
When we started JH in 2014, some of them, Jide brought Ismail Omekpidon on board.
Yeah.
Boyega Akoshile started with us, and we are proud, we are happy.
At least Habib Live too.
Yes,
We started a program together.
yes. Habib Haruna, yeah.
And he left to work for the governor of Lagos State. So people that we started the program together, Shomo Motu, left to work with the governor of Ogun State.
Dapo Aru Ajoye.
Yes, so
the
the point is that some of these big political figures see the people who come on our program. Ismail never knew the governor from Adam.
Yeah.
And he got given the job.
That's how Ismail Omekpidon.
So they see what people say, they see the quality of the people that I bring on the program, and they find some of them useful. That's why a number of them have worked for governors in the last 4 or 5 years.
Congratulations, guys. That's Boyega Akoshile and Ismail Omekpidon, Chief Press Secretary to Governor of Osun State and the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Lagos State. All right, moving on now. Porous border, inadequate equipment, demoralized military, and radicalization are some of the reasons adduced for the protracted war against insurgency in Nigeria after devastating attacks by Boko Haram insurgents on Gubbio and Magumeri, Borno State. Governor Professor Babagana Umaru Zulum met behind closed doors with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja on Friday. Governor Zulum, who briefed the president about the security situation, said the attacks have become more prevalent and called for deployment of more troops to the states. And interestingly, Babajide, the same governor is on the same is in the entourage of Mr. Mr. President to Japan. So I think we will have more time to discuss the security situation with him there.
Yes, it's a good opportunity to let the president know exactly what's going on. I'm happy that this governor has chosen to say the truth. Okay. He was misled about what happened in Gubbio, and by the time he returned to Gubbio, there were no soldiers in Gubbio. Yet he was told that
Sorry, Jide, let me plus you there. Mm-hmm. I think my producer is telling me that we have Governor Zulum.
There was an attack in Gubbio. There was an attack in Magumeri. Local government secretariats are burned down. Health centers were burned down. Vehicles were burned down. Communication gadgets were burned down. The government and people of Borno State, that he will do everything possible to ensure that the properties and lives of the citizens of Borno State are being protected. We must also address the root causes of the Boko Haram insurgency, which is not limited to endemic poverty, pervasive illiteracy, poor social and economic outcome, unemployment, environmental degradation, drug abuse, among others. We have to ensure that there is military presence in almost all the locations. We are very much aware of their numerical strength, but nonetheless, their absence can create a very serious vacuum. And that has informed the recent attacks. The presence of Nigerian military in almost all the locations, especially in the local government headquarters, need not to be overemphasized. Dialogue is also very important. Those people that are forced into the system, who are willing to repent, should be given the opportunity to come back home.
Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umaru Zulum. Jide, before we took that sort.
Yes. You know, it's, what was first reported online and in the papers was that the attack on Gubio was repelled. And this governor was full of praise to the army. But that was not what happened. We suffered a setback at the location. That setback was so devastating that the troops had to leave the location for Damasak, which is the headquarters of Moba local government. Now, the same governor who had praised the army, believing that the soldiers were repelled, discovered that there was no soldier guiding the town. It was at that point that he raised an alarm. Now, the lack of military presence in that town, Gubio, made the insurgents to be bold enough to come back to Gubio. You know, the first attack was on the eve of Salah. They now came back and set ablaze government buildings, set ablaze politicians' homes, and all that. That was the point that the governor made, that absence of security was what caused this last destruction that took place in Gubio and Magumeri. In the case of Magumeri, which is a very big local government, bigger than the biggest state in the southeast, just one local government in Borno State, bigger than the biggest state in the southeast. The insurgents had launched an attack, killed many of our troops. What usually happens is, if attacks are constant, we don't continue to deploy in the area just to be able to save the lives of troops. So, but insurgents are exploiting that opportunity. Oh, they've left this place for us. So they now begin to do what they like in the area. So the governor is saying, let's have more troops in Borno State. But the truth is, you can't have as many troops as you want. Borno is a very big state. The second biggest state in Nigeria after Niger. You can't have enough troops to protect the state. That is a fact. Because when you look at the size, the numerical strength of the Nigerian army, he alluded to that as well. There's no way you can have enough. All that we can do is focus on the areas where those guys are quite strong, deploy maximum strength, and deal with them decisively in that area. But we cannot have enough troops to protect all the communities in Borno State. And the insurgents know that. So they go to places where they can see clearly that there is no form of defense. And that's what is happening in Borno North. I've said it that in Borno North, nearly all most of the community people have fled. I'll give the example of the axis, Maiduguri-Monguno Highway. It is 135 kilometers. I can tell you that there are only 2 communities in that long stretch where people are living. 135 kilometers. But there are just 2 communities, 2 villages in that whole stretch where people are living. Before now, there were about 15 communities on that stretch, 135 kilometers. But today, just 2 communities left. People have fled into IDP camps. They've left the area for Boko Haram to do what they like. This is the situation we find ourselves, and Mr. President must do something urgently. I heard the president say that he will provide money for emergency weapons procurement for our troops. We can criticize the troops. If we don't give them the right tools, there's nothing they can do. We want them to become an offensive fighting force. You can only transit from defensive force to offensive force if you have the right weapons, the armored tanks, and all that you need. So right now, we don't have enough weapons to deal decisively on the enemy, and the president has to do something immediately about that.
GKB, let's look at the humanitarian crisis that this, the ripple effect of this, the IDPs, and from last estimation, I think over 1 million people.
1 million. Almost
close to 3 million.
Close to 4 million, actually.
In Monguno alone, there are more than 2 million people in the IDP camp. In Monguno alone. Whereas the IDP, we still have IDP camps in Maiduguri.
We are in a catch-22 situation, really. We don't have enough personnel to become an offensive force. Yet we don't have enough personnel to hold the positions that we've won back. So either we now do it half-half, defend some areas, attack some areas. And this, of course, will never give us victory. So I was very happy last year when the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, started the process of massive air support for our troops in certain areas. But you're talking about areas that are so wide and are so open that it will take you a long time to really pin down anything you want to do. The number of people that we are losing every year is even small compared to the number of people being moved away to IDP camps. And if you are not careful, in the next 5 years, we have IDP camps that will be bigger than some communities in Nigeria. And what happened to the Palestinians in the West Bank will become a child's play, because then you have to start having tension, or people who have nowhere to go, who have nothing to do. And the next thing they do is provide manpower for the same Boko Haram they are running away from.
That caught my attention, providing manpower for Boko Haram, because when you look at the recruitment process, you see the way they get our people, our young men, get conscripted into
we have a big problem that I think it will be very difficult for us to solve. And the problem is the fact that, one, the army is overstretched. Two, they don't have enough resources. Three, they don't have the right equipment to deploy to fight this. And like Babajide said, when the enemy knows our positions, and they are better at it because it is not a conventional war, it's a guerrilla war. So what they do is to bid their time, wait, and look for targets where they know that soft targets that they can overwhelm. And I appreciate the problems of the governor of Borno State, but the president should provide the necessary funds for us to do things. Because I know that the government agree with that. The government is aware of that problem. That is why there's a new ministry now who is supposed to do that. There's a ministry that is supposed to take care of IDPs and all that, because they realize that it has become a major problem. And there should be somebody that will be a cabinet person that will be in charge of it. But the most important thing is that this Boko Haram thing is going to get worse. We must realize that we are fighting a well-tested army who have fought battles in different places, because there's a lot of those centenary soldiers, the mercenaries are with them. So, and they are here for the long haul. We have to appreciate that. We have to recruit more people into the army, because the army is overstretched. When you look at banditry in the northwest, and you look at Boko Haram, that's literally this.
Two sides of the same coin.
So we have to recruit more soldiers. We have to equip them. We have to give them the wherewithal to be able to even contain the enemy.
You're looking at solution now. He started it, and when it's also easy to start recruiting soldiers, you have to do your background checks. You have to do a lot of things, and
to train them.
So the immediate solutions to this problem we have around.
Honestly, the president has to do what Goodluck Jonathan did in 2014. Wherever you can find weapons that can give us
an advantage,
a huge advantage, go and get it.
Right.
Whether you want to buy from the black market, Goodluck Jonathan bought weapons in the black market. You can call him all kinds of names. He wanted the war to win. That was why he went to the extent of buying T-92 Russian tanks, T-72 Russian tanks in Ukraine. Not only that, he wanted to buy from the black market in South Africa. He got scandalized as a result of that, because the same South African government that agreed to the thing were the same people who leaked it, who leaked the information due to pressure from the Americans. Now, the president is in the saddle. we can no longer pretend that we've defeated the enemy.
No.
The people, it's just like when we claimed that we repaired the attack in Baga. The people who fled from Baga, they started speaking to the press. They were sleeping in the open in Maiduguri. There is an extent to which the truth can be covered. So now that we found ourselves in this form, in this state, go and get, the president promised emergency weapons procurement. Let him deliver on that promise. I still remember that he made that promise. So let him bring a lot of those T-72 Russian tanks at this time are even disused. Because we ought to have signed a deal to ensure that they are serviced at the right time and the people who service them are kept here. Let him go and bring weapons, big weapons, because whether we like it or not, when you buy for the black market, sometimes it is more than 3 times the original cost. But it's because they know you are desperate. People don't buy weapons in wartime. They buy weapons preparing for the day that war will come. But once you find yourself in this form, in this manner, you must spend the money. If we get the right weapons, you now said it before, that if you have an Apache helicopter, you can engage an enemy in Ibadan, right here in Lagos, because of its range.
So let's quickly pick this call. We have Okwe from California, United States of America. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good evening.
West Coast.
Okwe?
This
is Nigeria.
7 hours or 6 hours behind.
It's Oye. It's Oye from California.
Oye from California. All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Well, first of all, I'll try to make this short. You guys are doing a fantastic job. What you said about the program is true. I used to be a defense contractor with the U.S. Army in Syria, and I can tell you for a fact, when it's time, we all take our lunch at the same time to watch.
Oh, thank you.
So you guys are doing a very fantastic
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what happens. So my contribution about this insurgency thing is very true. The most important thing is the welfare of the troops. If the welfare is not there, motivation is going to be gone. And the same thing about weaponry. Because if I'm a soldier and I'm seeing my fellow soldiers being killed and nothing is being done to take care of who they leave behind, definitely I won't give my best. And if I'm fighting against an army or a bunch of guerrillas using AA against me, trust me, I wouldn't even have the motivation. We should be proactive, not a reactionary force. We used to be the best in Africa, but it's sad we've come down to this level. But I strongly believe, like you said, purchasing the weapons from anywhere by any means necessary is the first step to showing we mean business.
Thank you, Oye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oye. Thank you. Thank you. Please keep watching. Thank you. Julie?
So that is it. Game changing, you can call the T-72 Russian tanks the game changer before the 2015 election. And we overran Boko Haram, took back the local governments that they are taking from us. Goza, all of the local governments that they took from us in Borno, we took back. The two local governments that they took from us in Yobe, we took back. The 7 local governments that they took from us in Adamawa, we took back. That was when General Lamidi Adeosun, a true Nigerian military hero, was really in charge.
Lieutenant
of
General.
the 7, yes, Lieutenant General. You know, but things have changed. Bring those weapons. I guarantee, I'm sure that if we bring those weapons, we will have the upper hand.
Okay, still to come. Outrage over FBI's listing of 78 Nigerians for fraud as Saudi Arabia releases names of 23 Nigerians to face death penalty over drug-related offenses. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangouts. How did we get here? This is an often quoted lamentation by Nigerians when inundated by situations of things in the country. Such outrage greeted last week's listing of 78 Nigerians out of 80 indicted by the United States Department of Justice for involvement in a massive business email scam and money laundering scheme of about $3 billion. Most of the individuals alleged to be involved in the scheme exposed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, are based in Nigeria. Rubbing salt on that festering injury, Saudi authorities released the names of 23 Nigerians on death row in Saudi Arabia over drug-related offenses. According to a statement by the government, the suspects were arrested between 2016 and 2017 at the country's two major airports. Mayor, the FBI indictment, and when I saw the amount involved and when I saw some names they actually reeled out, I felt bad that as a Nigerian, this is our image outside now.
Yes, I agree with you. I think all of us should be scandalized because, yes, we are not the one involved in the crime, but the after effects affects everybody. If you get to the airport, you will look differently if you carry a Nigerian passport. If you want to do business with people abroad, you'll be more careful and less trusting. So it has long-term after effects that will affect everybody. Even those of us who are not involved in the crime. But having said that, it is understandable when you have a country of a population of close to 200 million, everybody cannot follow the narrow right path. There are some people who will be involved in crime.
Deviants.
And it's just that Nigerians are loud in doing things. We are not the biggest scammers in the world. We are not.
Not even close.
We are not even close. The East Europeans, the Pakistanis, the Indians, they get the Malaysians, they get involved in more crime than us. It's just that our boys, when they get involved in their own, they are usually loud with it. And then when they get caught like that, they tie everybody with their bad behavior. But that does not justify what they've done. It is shameful. Like I said, it will affect all of us. But crime is not something you can... There are some people, for example, when you look at the list of the drug, when you look at those who were sentenced to death in Saudi Arabia, you will know that even despite the fact that it is capital punishment, people still go to Saudi Arabia with drugs. When you know that they have told you that if you come to our country with drugs, or Malaysia with drugs, it's capital punishment. But some people, because of desperation, will still do it. So that means that no matter what you do, even some people are criminally minded and they will still get involved in crime.
GKB, some people will tell you that it's because of the unbearable situation in the country. That is what has led to the spike in the number of Yahoo, wire scammers.
Well, like Mayor said, you're looking at about, let's be charitable. Let's say 3 million out of 200 million. That's just a little bit at 1%. And like I said earlier, you have to understand, there's what they call the Italian mafia. There's the Chinese triads. There's the Russian oligarchs. There are the Pakistani elements. About every country have their own deviants who go out of their way to destroy the image of their country. Our job is to condemn it and to put in place laws and things that can be done to correct it in such a way that does not stain everybody. Don't get it twisted. No matter if Nigeria's streets are paved with gold today, and they are paying everybody $10 million every day, those who still do this business will do this business. You have to understand that very clearly. It doesn't mean it's right, but some people are just wired differently from the rest of us.
Judy, this get-rich-quick syndrome,
yes.
When we were growing up, it wasn't like that. But all of a sudden, there's like a paradigm shift that it doesn't matter.
Value system.
Value system, sorry. It doesn't matter where you get the car from. It doesn't matter where you get the house from. Your parents will embrace you right now and they'll pray for you. But it wasn't like that some years back.
Yes, and for some of the kids who are into Yahoo, whether it is the Yahoo++ variant of it, they are actually the ones looking after themselves in their schools. They pay their school fees, I know women who, through prostitution, paid their way through school and even still buy clothes for their parents in it.
And build houses.
There are parents too now who have become so depraved that they do not care how their children get the money that they spend. Some of them would even gloat about the success, the financial success of their children. So this is the thing. But as a Nigerian, we should all feel the shame, the sense of shame, that out of 80 people indicted, you will find that 78 of them, indicted by the FBI, you find that 78 of them are Nigerians. Whether we like it or not, when you go to South Africa and many countries of the world, it is Nigerians that people have come to identify with this kind of scam. It is now becoming the identity of our country.
The Nigerian prince.
It is, you see, the other day they sent dogs to sniff Shoyinka because we became notorious for drug trafficking. And our people have still not stopped because the law in Nigeria is a slap in the wrist when it comes to drug trafficking.
Yeah.
You can actually, you walk away the same day that you are convicted because you will find the money. Even the fine is usually not hefty. You remember that actress? The same day she walked away, she covered her face that we were already familiar with. She was covering, but we know who you are. And she walked away. Why won't they think that because it's so easy for them to get away with crime in Nigeria, if they go to another country, they might be as lucky? But they won't be as lucky. You go to Saudi Arabia, it's your neck that they cut. The Saudis are not going to put you on an electric chair.
No niceties.
The way they do in Texas and all that. No, it is the neck that they cut. The executioner with his long sword is waiting. That's how they do it. And when I saw this, just shortly after this one happened, I said, what is going on? These people came, embarrassed us with this FBI thing, and then this one has happened. It's really, really perplexing that 23 Nigerians, nearly all of them, if not all of them from the Southwest, are going to be killed. And you see the way, look at that guy, is one of those declared wanted.
Yeah.
He's one of those, yes, hero.
Very hard-working man.
Look at how we are debasing their currency. Look at the disrespect that we are doing to the American dollar.
That is
There's no way.
Because this, not only that you misbehave like this, you know you are involved in something that is not legitimate, and then you spend money like this. Look at this. How can you do that?
Stepping on their currency.
On currencies. You know, it is, yes, sometimes they do it here, but you cannot do it there. And people, when they see this, it's shameful because these people are just embarrassing all of us. They're embarrassing all of us because it's like I said, you get to a point of entry, you hold a Nigerian passport, they blame you longer. Yes, they ask more questions.
Yes, they search you more.
And even my friend, Wale Olaleye, wrote something about it. He just came back from holiday. And he was profiled because he's a Nigerian.
Yes,
because he carried
that is the thing.
Passport.
That is the price that we have to pay. That is the price that we have to pay
for these idiots.
Because
you see, like I said, people will always get involved in crime. That's just the irony of it. Because there's no way you can stop people. Some people will still get involved in crime.
The FCC did well not long ago when they helped the American government, the FBI, to track someone who had been involved in crime, in this kind of crime in Texas. They tracked him down in Nigeria and he was made to face justice. We have to tighten our laws.
Yeah.
Make it difficult for people
to escape,
to get away with this kind of crime. And once they find their way into the country, because it is said that about 57 of these guys are not in the US.
Yeah.
So across 9 countries of the world, they are looking for them. And the bulk of them are in Nigeria. So we must do, to show that as Nigerians, we have zero tolerance for the nonsense that these guys are doing. The EFCC and the security agencies must do their best to catch these guys and hand them over so that they can face the justice that they deserve.
GKB, some of them, we even know them.
Yeah.
They mention them on when their albums. They
Albums
mention
of
them.
musicians.
You glorify them. You see them on major blogs and Lagos Big Boy. This person's social
Happening
light,
guys.
and you don't know what they do for a living, but you know that. Look, you just call them that. I don't want to mention anybody's
you
name.
provided the answer yourself earlier, that we've lost our sense of values. Don't forget there is a group called the Mothers of Yahoo Boys, somewhere in Lagos. Do not forget also that there are mothers in those states who fought the wife of that governor, who wanted to stop the human trade to Italy. They fought her physically. They fought the woman because that is not her business. It's their children. They can do whatever they want with it. That shows the debasement that we've arrived at as a country. Until we get to the point where we now start asking questions of sources of monies that people are spending, I'm afraid we have a long, long way to go.
Well, on a final analysis, Mayor, EFCC, because once you have a child, the child is like 16, 17, 18, just look at the street of Lagos and some other cities like that around. You see a laptop, you see their modems most of the time.
Use their phones now.
Use their phone all night. They're there.
Yeah, it's because of our values. Before, when you go to jail, at least in Yoruba land,
The shame.
that I know, the shame is for the entire family. You understand? If you get involved in crime, your parents will probably report you to the police. So you can't come home and spend money that you cannot justify to your parents. Because at that time, morality was high, good name, values, and then that is about. Now we change it. We Islam money. Nobody cares how you get the money because they realize that those who work very hard
Don't get the reward.
don't get the reward. So now it's just the end justify the means. You just have to be successful, whichever way you get to. And you see, the problem is that because of the economic situation and because it pays more, because you see, the problem is that you must make crime unattractive for people not to go there. That is why they said that, okay, don't do it if you cannot do the term. So, but if there are no repercussions, severe ones,
consequences.
people will get involved in crime. Our young boys, they realize now that, okay, fine, if I'm in school and I do Yahoo and I make money, why should I have education when I'm already a rich boy while I was still in university?
I won't bribe his teachers.
Yeah, so you see a lot of young boys now, they live in hotels, you see them with laptop, because they believe that it pays them more to do that.
Patrick is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm speaking from Adialu Yanopaja.
Okay.
Please, concerning what about the scam issue, do you know something about it?
The what?
By the what?
You see, we have to talk to our leaders in this country. If not for our leaders, what they see, what they are doing, that is why they are into it. For me, I'm over 50 years. If we see somebody that is throwing money away when we are young, we will run for such person. But now, even our leaders, so-called leaders, they are the one even encouraging them. First of all, let us first build our country first. Build our leader. If you see some of our politicians, where they are doing parties, don't you see the way to throw money about? And you want to talk to those local people? It's not possible.
Thank you, Patrick.
We have to repair our home first before we go outside and talk to those people. That is.
All right, thank you.
I think when you look at the fact that even genuine mails from Nigeria are deemed spam because of the frequency with which we do bogus international transactions and cheat people, then you know that we are in trouble as a people. We must clean up our acts. We must find a way to make it difficult for these people to continue to put us to shame. Because even the vulnerable people are the ones that they target. People who are ill, this and that. There was a woman who lost, there's an American who lost $200,000
lonely old women
to what is called the romance scam. This guy was just posting here, collecting the woman's money, $200,000. And he was not going to befriend her. So it's terrible what our people are doing. And I just hope that when we begin to shame people involved in this, punish people involved in this, at least it will reduce to a large extent. Right now, it's like they are even on the loose.
Yeah, something like that.
No control.
All right. The ongoing English Premier League season is just 3 weeks old, but the writing is already on the wall about the pretenders and the contenders for the title. At the weekend, Manchester United suffered a 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace at the Theatre of Dreams, while Arsenal got trashed 3-1 by Liverpool at Anfield. The pace for the race to the 2019-2020 title appear to be set. Leo.
Yes, it is obvious. 3 weeks into the season, though you don't win the league in August, but I know that we now know the contenders, and it is Liverpool and Manchester City. They are well.
After something matches.
That's what I'm saying. No. What I'm saying is that matches. In 3 weeks to the season, we've seen that both Liverpool and Manchester City are way ahead of the others. The others struggling pack: Manchester United, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. Then maybe they could be joined by maybe Everton, Leicester.
The usual suspects.
So, but Manchester United, I think they're going to have a problem because the coach does not seem to really understand his team. He does not. I don't think he knows his best team yet, and they are not. The attack is not as efficient as it should be. They are not taking their chances, and they are not as efficient as it should be. So the defense seems to be okay. For Arsenal, I think Arsenal have a good team, but a bad coach. I think that against Liverpool, the coach threw that game away. How? He went there with fear. He believed that Liverpool is superior. So he went with a ridiculous tactics that they've never used before. You understand? Concede ball to them, let their wing backs have the ball, defend, and take them on the break. So for 90 minutes, they just kept coming forward, and they kept defending. And Arsenal is not a defensive team. Arsenal is an offensive team. So that's why you cannot, even last year, they considered so many goals, about 51 goals. So you cannot defend throughout. You don't have that kind of, when you look at Crystal Palace was able to beat Manchester United because they packed the midfield, they packed the defense, and they waited to get United on the break. And they did that. But they have to defend rigidly. Arsenal doesn't have the men and people to do that. So he went with wrong tactics, and he got beaten. It was when he uses the normal players, because how can you put, like I said, and Torreira on bet?
Jude, don't you think it's too early in the season that some of these people that, leaders that we are tipping now, that they might falter along the line? If you have 38 matches still to go.
Yes, I think
35.
It's too early. The league is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we want to see what happens around the Christmas period. I want to see the teams that are in the top 3 in the first week of January, because you play so many matches in December and early January. That's when teams get so many of their players injured. That's when fatigue. You really have an idea of who is likely to win.
Who have the bench?
Yes, even the last season, Liverpool threw away the league. Liverpool should have won the league.
Yeah.
They had all the opportunity. There was a time they were leading, that they had an opportunity to lead with 7 points.
No, they were actually leading with 7 points before they went to Man City.
Saturday, Sunday.
So had they been there, they were able to defeat Man City. They would have gone to 10 points.
So then they now began to lose. They began to drop points through the many draws that they were playing at that time. And before you knew it, Man City overtook them. So I still think that it's early days. You can't say at this point who will win. But I think that if Arsenal can sort out its defense, I don't think that those teams are superior to Arsenal. Because when I saw Arsenal play in the second half, Arsenal played Liverpool off the park. Liverpool was
when they played their full team. When
towards
they
the end of the game.
Yes, when they had their full
Arsenal,
formation.
in fact, almost throughout the second half, Arsenal controlled the game. And they could have scored more goals. So I don't see Arsenal.
What is wrong with the Red Devils? Manchester United.
The refusal to buy.
Thing?
Manchester United lost midfielder Herrera, lost Fellaini, and they didn't bother to bring in a midfielder to replace the guy. How can a team, because Manchester United is run by a banker and not somebody with any football experience, we have this problem. They are just penny pinching. They want to take all the money, take it back to America. But they are destroying the tradition of the club, destroying the good name of the club by not buying the right players. That's why Mourinho questioned the ambition of Manchester United. Whether we like it or not, football these days, you must spend the money. Nobody knew that Arsenal will go and buy a player in excess of 70-something million. If they told you...
The departure of the tradition of...
yes, you will say, you will say, no, this can't happen. No, even the structured payment and enable them to be able to do it. Everyone is going for expensive player because they will give you the quality. Look at Pepe. They usually tell us that, oh, nobody dribbles Virgil van Dijk. Well, Pepe dribbled him this last game because he has the quality. I'm not a national supporter, but God forbid to be a national supporter.
Excuse me.
No, let him enjoy himself.
But the truth is, I can see quality. And I see this Arsenal team beat even some of these teams that we are talking about, Liverpool, and even Man City, you know, if they can do something about that defense. Mind you, they've lost the opportunity. If they can bring in players in January, to beef up the midfield, maybe they can challenge, because the midfield is the problem.
GKB.
Well, you have to understand that they are yet to start the League Cup, the Champions League, and the FA Cup. All this, of course, will come within the window of September to January. That's why you really can now separate the men from the boys. For now, it's early days. People are just enjoying themselves. We'll talk about this later when we go into the new year.
Okay. I want to thank you. Mayor Akikwelu, thank you for your contribution today. Thank you for coming. And thank you, Osiare Gani Kairi Palogun. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
BKO, congratulations once again.
Do you still have space to put all these awards? Or should we build a
small house?
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another edition of Journalist Hangout, and you can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.